So, today we're going to crack open the playbook on one of the trickiest parts of M&A, separations. We're using Deloitte's Divestitures and Spin-offs as our guide. This thing is built from the lessons of over 150 real-world deals, so it's basically a roadmap for navigating these incredibly complex transactions. Let's dive in.
Yeah, that quote really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? We tend to lump all M&A activity together, but a divestiture, carving out and selling a piece of your company, is a whole different animal. You're not just buying something and plugging it in. You're performing delicate surgery, carefully pulling things apart without, letting the patient bleed out on the table.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about taming the elephant, a great metaphor for the core challenge here. Then we'll walk through the three key phases: the strategic planning, the actual execution, and what life looks like after the deal closes. And finally, we'll look at the secret weapon that holds this whole thing together, the SMO.
Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1. To really get a handle on this, we need to understand the core challenge. The book uses this powerful central metaphor to help us grasp just how massive a corporate separation really is.
So, what exactly is this divestiture elephant? Well, picture this. It's a metaphor for how deeply everything in a business is tangled together. Just imagine trying to separate a business unit's IT systems, but you don't coordinate that move with HR. Suddenly, boom, employee data is inaccessible, payroll systems crash, and the new company literally can't function on day one. That's the elephant, and a structured playbook is the only way you're going to tame it. So, how do you tame that elephant? Well, it all comes down to planning, meticulous planning. That brings us to phase 1, strategic planning. This is where you win or lose the game, long before the deal is even public. It's all about laying that solid foundation. The book really hammers this home. You have to be a prepared seller. What does that mean? It means you've done your homework. You're finding ways to boost the value of the business you're selling before you sell it. It means you're setting a realistic timeline that everyone, legal, finance, and especially IT, can actually hit. And maybe most importantly, you figured out exactly how to slice the pie, allocating every single asset, contract, and employee with absolute precision. Okay, so you've got your master plan. Now comes the hard part, actually doing it. Welcome to phase 2, execution. This is where the rubber meets the road, where you're juggling a dozen different super complex tasks all at once. And a single slip-up? It can have absolutely disastrous results. So the big question is, how do you even begin to wrangle all that complexity? The playbook gives us a great framework, breaking it all down into these distinct but totally parallel operational domains. Each one is its own battlefield.
Let's start with what might be the most critical piece of the puzzle: your people and your partners. I mean, the value of the deal can just evaporate if your key talent gets nervous and walks out the door. So retention and motivation are everything. And while you're doing that, you're also completely restructuring teams and making sure your customers and partners have a seamless, confident transition. No big deal, right?
Next up, you've got the nuts and bolts, the whole legal and financial architecture. This is all about building a brand new legal entity from scratch, navigating an absolute minefield of tax issues, untangling incredibly complex banking and treasury functions, and making sure the financial separation is clean. The new company has to be able to stand on its own 2 feet from the very first day. And then there's IT. Oh, man. IT is almost always the biggest headache, the longest pole in the tent, as they say. You're trying to untangle what could be decades of integrated infrastructure and applications. You have to plan a cutover event with military precision. And you're migrating enormous critical data sets. One wrong move here, and the whole operation grinds to a halt. All right, so the deal is signed, the champagne is popped, but hold on. You are not done yet, not even close. Now we're in phase 3, life after the deal. The focus completely shifts to making sure both the company you have left, the RemainCo, and the brand new company can actually stabilize and start to grow. See, after the close, you're facing 2 huge issues. For the buyer, there are transition services agreements, or TSAs. These are a lifeline. The seller agrees to keep providing essential services, like payroll or IT help, for a little while, just to make sure the transition is smooth. But for the seller, the problem is stranded costs. Think about it. You had a huge corporate call center that served everybody. You sell off a division, and now that call center is half empty, but you're still paying the full bill. That's a stranded cost, and you've got to get rid of it fast. So you've got strategy, people, finance, IT, post-deal cleanup. I mean, it's a whirlwind. How on earth do you keep all of that from flying apart? You need a guiding hand. You need a central command center for the entire operation.
That's where the Separation Management Office, or SMO, comes in. And listen, this is a way more than just project management. It's the strategic brain of the entire deal. The SMO owns the playbook. They manage all the dependencies, they track the progress, they put out fires, and they make sure every single decision, from the top down, is pushing toward the same goal. Without a strong SMO, that elephant we talked about, it runs wild.
So let's bring this all home. In the high-stakes world of M&A, you just can't afford to make it up as you go. Success in a divestiture is a science. It really is. A well-defined, battle-tested playbook is your ultimate advantage. So the real question isn't whether you need one. It's what's in yours.